Hello, hello. My name is Dallas Cohen, and you are watching or listening to another episode of the Rebound Coach Live. Like I mentioned, I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and I am so glad that you're here today. Have you ever wondered, is it worth it? Is all this worth it? If you've ever wondered that, this is the spot for you. You're in the right place. You might be wondering, what exactly is a rebound coach? You just said you're the rebound coach, and I don't even know what that is. If this is your first time sharing virtual space with me, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending a part of your day over here with us. And if you're wondering what exactly a life coach is, what exactly a rebound coach is, I'm a life coach, and I have the honor and privilege of helping people get unstuck. Specifically, I serve high-achieving women of faith who have experienced betrayal, trauma, or abuse, and who want to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. Now, for me, that started in my own story. Here's the thing, y'all. Here's the headline. You ready? I was married 10 years to a man who wanted me dead. And he almost had the opportunity to take action on that. And that didn't make a lot of sense for someone like me. I was raised in a good Christian home. I had Christian parents who loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. They gave a great example of marriage and family. At the same time, I was molested from the age of 8 to 16. And if you know anything about that, it radically affects how you see yourself, in a household of faith, how you see God, and how I related to men. Fast forward, I met the man that I married and eventually divorced, and there were definitely red flags. There were definitely reasons not to be together. There were definitely signs. At the same time, I'm a praying woman. I was a praying woman then, and I believed God's answer was yes. And because I believed that, I also believed that no matter what would happen, no matter what came, I'd outlast it. I'd outlive it. We'd overcome it. God would swoop in and change things. And all I had to do was be faithful and pray and stay. And not just that, y'all. I've been a life coach about 20 years through different seasons. And in that season, I had began to teach and coach on relationships. So on marriage and family, and on covenant relationships in the faith-based area. And so if you can imagine building an entire platform, an entire identity around a certain idea, and that being the very thing that just falls apart at your feet. So we had gotten into this cycle of what I call coping and crisis. So it's where you're never quite happy, you never quite get to good, you never quite take a full breath and relax in your relationship. It's always you're doing the coping dance, which means you've learned how to cope with that other person. You're walking on eggshells, you're trying to follow rules, you're trying to make sure he doesn't blow up, right? Like trying to avoid the landmines and the grenades. But it never seems to work, and you constantly end up in a place of crisis. So you cope for so long, and then there's a crisis, and then you get back on your feet and you cope for another period of time, and there's another crisis. And we did that for the better part of 10 years, 9 years plus. And we got into the biggest crisis ever. He was already a serial adulterer, but he left for another woman. And I found out he and that woman had been plotting my murder for months. It's crazy when you say it out loud, and it's always going to be a little like, what? And that's kind of where I was. I couldn't believe that my life had come to that. That's where my life was. And through a series of divine events, when I tell you, like, I can't even begin to, it's too many. And people hear the story for the first time and they have questions like, how in the world? Yeah, me too. It was nothing but God. Through a series of divine events, I and my children are safe. We're continuing to grow and learn and unlearn as we grow into all things new. And the way that I share the story is, I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had planned for me to tell me who I was, to tell me what I was allowed to do, how I was allowed to express my faith, how many days I had left on the planet. Okay. He literally had a death date for me, written it down. Or I could choose life. And so coming out of that entire season, I wrote a memoir. It's my second book, and it is called I Choose Life: Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And it is my story. It's a memoir, but it's not just my story. For anyone who found themselves in any piece of my story, if you have experienced childhood sexual abuse, if you have experienced just a lifetime of betrayal, not just in a marriage, but in a family, in a church, in a friendship, in an employment situation, if you feel like you have a history of betrayal, or you know someone who does, or you know someone who's in an abusive marriage right now, or any other abuse dynamic, this is for them. And this is for you. And we're right now in a season of giving. We're coming towards the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter of the year. It's a time where people start buying gifts and thinking of how to benefit the lives of others. If you know someone who needs this story, don't leave them out. If you know someone, even if you don't know someone personally, if you're like, hey, there's a domestic violence shelter in my area, I can make a donation. Make a donation. This book saves lives. Okay. You can find this book at thereboundcoach.com/book. Here it is. thereboundcoach.com/book. That is thereboundcoach.com/book. You can get one of these hard copies and I will sign it for you and mail it to you and send you a little love note. Or you can go to Amazon right from that page, and Amazon will ship one to you, or you can get an ebook copy as well. Again, all of that information is at thereboundcoach.com/book. Okay, y'all. This is either the most happy time of the year for folks, or it can be the most depressing time of the year. Okay. There's a lot of people who feel depressed around the holidays and get suicidal. And I know what that is. I know what it is to just not have hope and not feel like there's a way out of the suffering, and being very, very committed to a certain way of life and not knowing what else to do. I've been there. And it can, and even if you're not in that dire place, because not everyone is, and sometimes there's just seasons where you're doing okay, seasons you're not doing so okay, right? But no matter which season you find yourself, you can wake up and go like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? I'm not sure this is worth it. You might feel like you're not anywhere close to where you want to be. I know for myself, I am always looking forward. And those who hang out with me, high achieving women of faith, we are some movers and shakers. And there's always a goal. There's always something in front of us, no matter how much we have achieved, no matter how much people are like, you are awesome and you do all this great stuff. You're like, thank you, but I really want to get over here. There's always somewhere to go. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. On the other end of that, you can not feel the good that is already around you. And that's accomplishments, but not just accomplishments, like the love that's around you, the peace, the victories you have already achieved. None of that feels solid. And what can be the loudest voice is, this isn't worth it. It's not working. It's never worked. I'm tired of trying. I'm tired of getting up and doing this. It's not worth the effort. Is this even worth it? Sometimes you're watching other people do better, Other people are having the results you wish you had. Other people are having the benefits that you wish you had. And you're like, why can't it be me? And sometimes you're not even that honest with yourself. You're just like judgmental of the other person, or make excuses. Well, they got that because they're special and I'm not special. They're taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier, older, younger, whiter, blacker, right? Any of those things. that kind of justifies why they have what you say you want, right? Watching other people succeed and wondering what in the world is wrong. What's wrong with me? Why isn't this working for me? And you're not alone. It's pretty common. And especially this time of year, it can be very common. So here's some things to figure out if it's worth it or not. Okay. So it can be so much easier, right? So you're looking at the hard part. You're looking at what's difficult. And it's so much easier to just stay in survival mode. What do I mean by that? Survival mode is I just need to look at today. I can't look at tomorrow with any kind of seriousness. I really just need to get through right now. And there is a season for survival. You just heard my story when everything was hitting the fan and I had to figure out if I'm going to be safe or not. And I needed to figure out how to be safe with my children. Absolutely. We are in survival mode. Absolutely. 10,000%. I'm not looking towards tomorrow, the next day, the next year. I'm not making 5-year plans. I am just getting up out of bed today and being thankful I got up out of bed today, right? And I fed my babies today, and I'm really thankful I fed my babies today, right? So there's season for survival. Absolutely. Now, survival should not be our entire lifetime. It shouldn't be the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And the only way that it's not is that we have to intentionally stop that cycle and do something different. Because we learn so well. It's like, muscle memory. It's like riding a bike, or, we learn to walk, we learn to breathe, we learn to sing, we learn to do whatever we do, and our bodies remember the path. So for those of us who've spent, maybe if you had childhood sexual abuse or other kinds of abuse in your childhood, you've been surviving a long time, right? In my book, I talk about growing up as a caregiver. My mother was terminally ill, and we as a family cared for her. When you're a caregiver, you learn how to make your needs not as important as someone else's. And it's muscle memory to put the other person first. Muscle memory. Sometimes some of y'all didn't need to be a caretaker. You were just shamed into that behavior. You were just shamed right into that behavior. Women were taught to be quiet. Women were taught to be less than. Women were taught to put the other person first. And it became muscle memory. That is your survival mode. And you can be very much stuck there. Very much stuck there. And it takes some intentionality to break out and do something more and something different. So how do we know that we are in survival mode? If you are sacrificing tomorrow's greatness for today's complacency, if you are succumbing to love hungers. We had a whole call on love hungers. So you have to go back in the episodes and find that. But love hungers, an example of that is all of our vices, guys: food, sex, drugs, scrolling, the things that make dopamine happen in the brain that we just kind of get stuck on. Okay, video games, just anything, gambling. Some things are really dangerous, and some things are sleeping even in excess, right? Some things are really dangerous. Some things can be considered not dangerous or socially acceptable, but they are still love hungers. They're places we're going for stimulation, for acceptance, for happiness, instead of creating the environment in which that can thrive. There's an environment where joy is thriving. There's an environment where security is thriving. There's an environment, the life that you don't want to hide from. But instead, that's harder, right? Creating a life you don't have to hide from is way harder than just hiding from life in big swaths of time. So we spend, and I say I spend too much time scrolling, right? Or using other love hungers. Other signs of survival mode: making fear-based decisions. And I have here in my notes, PR campaigns. What do you mean by that, Dallas? Public relations campaigns to convince yourself and others of your story. What's my story? How do I know what my story is? You say it. And honestly, you don't know. You may not know. You have to ask someone who listens to you talk what your story is. And your story can be, I can't make it because I am fill in the blank. tall, short, fat, skinny, black, white, young, old, rich, poor, right? Whatever you're saying your story is, why you can't make it. And we spend a lot of energy and time on a PR campaign to convince ourselves and others that our story is true. We look for results. We look for confirmation bias, and we convince ourselves and everyone, hey, this is the way it is. This is why I can't do it. This is why it's not worth it. This is why. Look at all of my reasons. We're really good at it too. So we look at the hard part. What would it take to have the life I want? What would it take? What would it actually take? We look at all that because it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And it's not what we have muscle memory for. Okay. So we ask ourselves these questions, and I ask myself these questions too. What if I fail again? I've done that a lot. I've tried a lot, and it's just not working. What if it never works? What if I fail again? What will people think about me watching me fail again? Why should I tell anybody I'm working on this thing? Because it's not working. I reach out and I try something new and it doesn't work, or I try something old and it doesn't work. And I don't want to try anymore, and I'm scared, and I don't want to be rejected, and I don't want to fall, and I don't want to feel like a failure if I do this again and fail. What if I succeed? That's a whole other thing. Okay. So the whole fear of failure, but also what if I succeed? Right. So we talked about that PR campaign. We spend a lot of time and energy to convince ourselves and others of our self-defeating story. If I succeed, that means that story doesn't work anymore, or it's not true. Well, that's been my truth for however many years. Why would I? Oh my gosh, it's going to be, right? So sometimes we don't try because we don't want to succeed and have to tell ourselves a new story. That sounds real backwards, right? From the person who says they wish they want to do something more, bigger, better. When we have the opportunity and the threshold, we have an opportunity. We have many opportunities to bring ourselves to the place where we say we want to go. But it costs, and it costs some money and time and effort, right? But it also costs our current story. It costs our comfort zone. It costs our current identity, what we've told ourselves our limits are. Sometimes it costs the good situations we're currently in to get to a better circumstance that we've never had before. It costs. And so while we're looking over that ledge into the next level, we're looking over the edge, we're looking at other people fly, we're counting the cost, and we're like, man, this is hard. This is hard. I don't think I want to, it might not be worth it. It might not be worth it. So I just want to encourage you, because it may or may not be worth it, but you are worth it. You are worth it. And you'll have to decide. You can take my invitation and choose to believe that you are worth it. You're worth the time it takes. You're worth the energy it takes. You're worth the money it takes. And yes, it takes money to get wherever you're trying to go. Your money or someone else's, or a combination, but it takes some money. Okay. It does. Anything worth having is worth paying for. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. Anything worth having is worth giving for, worth going for, worth what it costs to achieve it. And so you are worth it. The impact you are to have in the world is worth it. Okay. When we leave this planet, and we all leave the planet, right? When you leave this planet, did you make the impact you were intending to make, or did you make excuses to stay where you were, to stay where you were comfortable? And y'all, I say this to myself just as loudly as I say it to you. I promise you, all of these episodes come from my own, So is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is the impact you're supposed to make in the earth worth the fight, the time, the money it's going to take to get you where you want to go. The better days you keep dreaming about is worth it. Okay? The life you say you want, and for those of us spiritual people, the life God promised us, is worth it. It's worth giving up the status quo. It's worth giving up the former identity. It's worth picking up your mat and walking. I just saw that episode in The Chosen, so made me think of that. Building your own muscles. So if you've ever seen the comic, the meme, I don't know what to call it, where a guy's pushing up against a brick wall and he's saying, this wall's not moving, this wall's not moving, I'm going to give up. God, why are you making me do this? Right? So the wall's not, it's a brick wall. Like he's pushing on a brick wall, like a person just pushing on a brick wall. And the other person in the comic, or whatever it is, says, look at your muscles. The wall didn't move, but look at your muscles. So in that activity, even though the wall didn't move and you felt like it's not worth it, it has been worth it because you are changing. You have changed. And I encourage you, as I encourage myself, when you look at that process, that hard, difficult process again, and you go, man, I don't know if it's going to work. Why would it work this time and it didn't work any of the 100 other times I'd tried it? Because you're different. You're different. You've grown. You've matured. You've learned. You're different. And so this time around will be different, even if it's not, it could be the outcome you're looking for and it could not be, right? But you're different. So it's going to be different. Okay. Now, if you're like, okay, Dallas, you have convinced me. You have convinced me it's worth it. You're convinced me I am worth it. Now what? Now what do I do? Okay. I'm going to give you 3 action steps. I like my 3 action steps. Okay. So once you've decided that it is worth it, what do I do now? Number 1, get in the game. My mentor says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, like 100%. It's a guarantee. You want to make sure you lose? Don't play. Right? You want to give yourself a chance of winning? Get in the game. Get in the game. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, don't quit. It's easy enough. Don't quit. How can you guarantee that you win? You don't quit. What if I lose a bunch? It's not over if you haven't quit, right? Just don't quit. So number 1, get in the game. Number 2, don't quit. Number 3, play to win, which is an entirely different skill set than playing not to lose. I have an associate, a colleague, that said something to me recently. Defense wins games, but offense sells tickets. I thought that was really interesting. And I'm sure, she didn't come up with that, but it was the first time I heard it. Defense wins games. So playing not to lose can win you the game, right? Like you stayed safe, you stay safe, you stay safe, you stay safe, right? That could win you the game. But offense sells tickets. If you want to live an exciting life, if you want to gain territory, we talk about gaining territory in your relationship with yourself, gaining territory, moving forward, not just maintaining, but moving forward. That takes risk. Takes risk. That means you're investing money into attending an event you're not sure if it's going to pan out the way you're hoping, but you're taking the risk because you're worth it, because your future is worth it, because the identity that's waiting for you is worth it, because the next level is worth it. And you are investing in yourself. Even if you're not sure that this is going to be worth it, you are worth it. Okay. So those are your 3. Number 1, get in the game. Number 2, don't quit. Number 3, play to win. Now, I have a video for you and an opportunity to invite you to. But let's do the video first of Desiree's Choose Life journey.
Hi, my name is Desiree and I choose life. 3 months ago, before working with Dallas, I was stuck in my business. I had no confidence or trust in myself. My relationships were frustrating. I thought I could do it all on my own. I thought I could help myself, but I saw no change and I was just stuck. Now, 3 months later, after working with Dallas, I'm moving forward with my business. I trust myself. I've learned to enjoy who God created me to be and not live my life based through accomplishments. My relationship with God is more aligned with who He is and who He wants me to be. My relationship with my parents and at work have improved. I am more confident in myself. I trust myself. So if you're like me, who thought you were Superwoman and could change and do everything on your own, but you're still the same and nothing is happening, you did Dallas. So please go to thereboundcoach.com right now and get in touch with her. Choose life right now and she'll help you get through everything.
Okay, so I said I had an invitation for you. 2024 is coming up soon. Lots of people decide to make a change for themselves. They said, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to do better in my relationships. I'm going to manage my time. I'm going to do whatever, right? It's an opportunity for a fresh start. And I want to invite you to a life-changing event. Now, you know I host events. This is not one of mine, but this is one that this is a fountain I drink from. Okay? This is where I learn. This is where my mentors train and teach me to go to the next level and to bring folks with me who are serious about being worth it for themselves. It's called First Steps to Success. It is a 3-day personal development seminar coming up very, very soon in January 25th through the 28th of 2024 in Orlando, Florida. I will be there, and I'm inviting you to come with me to not just to learn, but to be. This is an invitation not just to an event. This is an invitation to your next you. This is an invitation to the next level. This is an invitation to destiny. This is an invitation to life. And I invite you to choose life with me. If you would like to know more, please comment all things new. Put all things new in the comments. Or if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Let me know what stood out to you in today's episode. What was your aha moment? What's a story you're in a fierce PR campaign to maintain? And how you're going to choose life. Okay. So once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. I'd love to know what's happening. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with what's happening and you won't miss an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate all of you. I will see you next time. And until next time, choose life.